Welcome to Seller Sessions. I am your host today, Sharon Evan, and today I have back with me for the third or fourth time, Refael Elbaz, CEO of Unicargo. Hey, Refael.
Hey, Sharon. What's up?
How are you
guys? Happy to be here with you, as always.
So we're going to be talking today about the logistics and freight forwarding shipping world and how crazy everything is. But for those of you who don't know who you are and what Unicargo is about, can you please share with us about that, about your company and about you?
All right, so hey everyone, my name is Refael. I'm the CEO and founder of Unicargo. Unicargo is a freight forwarding company basically geared towards e-commerce businesses, Amazon sellers. That's basically our focus. We've been doing that for quite a lot of time, 6 years now. We deal with air freight, ocean freight, air express, road services, warehousing, returns, reverse logistics, everything related to shipping and logistics for e-commerce companies, entrepreneurs, etc., etc. Obviously, Amazon is the biggest marketplace, so the majority of our business is actually going to Amazon. Today, with the Amazon restrictions, the majority are going to a 3PL, but we move the products for Amazon sellers. That's it. I've been pretty active, knowing Sharon and in Facebook groups and the community. We have a lot of experience in what we do. I think we were one of the first companies in the world to just focus on e-commerce logistics and really master that field. And here we are today, trying to share the pains of the freight industry with you guys. So whenever you see a freight person, hug him. We are going through a very, very challenging times, very difficult times. It's funny because in a business, when you say you're going through a difficult time, it means like there is no work or the business is slow. And it's not the case in the shipping industry. There are a lot of business is crazy. There are a lot of shipments. People are shipping more. We can see it by, if you look at the numbers and the statistics. I sent it yesterday on our weekly newsletter. Imports for this 6 month in 2021 are 47% higher than the first half of last year. 47%, half. It's crazy. So there are much more shipments to ship, much more containers coming in. Demand is increasing, but business is hurting. Business is hard because it's very, very hard to book shipments. There are literally no space, no equipment. Things are moving very, very, very slow. And just before we went live, I just told you how we have clients that the products are stuck in China for a month. And for us, we never encountered that situation before. When you send a quote to a client, he's happy to work with you, and you agree on a price, and then his products are stuck because the ship keep on skipping that port, for example.
So wait, before we get into that, so I wanted to say, my husband said to me today, so who is your guest from Seller Sessions? And then I said, it's Refael. And they said, what? You just had him on last month because you're the only person that I keep bringing on. And I said to him, because shipping just keeps getting worse and worse, and it's so important to keep everyone informed. Now, the reason I wanted us to speak about it right now is you and I had a conversation. I actually didn't prepare you for this, but you and I had a conversation about a month ago. And I asked you why my recent shipment quote was higher than it usually is. Because, I work with you guys for a long time and I usually have really good pricing. And you said to me, it's just the way it is right now. And then we started talking about how you don't believe shipping will ever go back to the way it was, but definitely not going to get necessarily better in the next year, because it's pretty fucked up. And we're just before people are going to start ordering for Q4. You've got big, huge, companies like Walmart, Target, etc., making orders already for 2020.
Next year.
2022, not 2020. That was last year. 2022. Huge Amazon sellers, a lot bigger than me, are people doing 100 million plus, ordering also a huge amount of stock.
For next year, they're ordering now for next year.
For next year. So
you just mentioned Q4. Q4 is over. If you didn't, at least in the middle of your road production for Q4, you're gonna be too late for Q4. Especially
let's not make people panic. Let's not make people panic. Some of the smaller sellers, I think that some of the smaller sellers, or people that have smaller products can fit some stuff into air, if they need it. But
you're fine.
The reason that I'm saying this is because this is why I keep wanting to talk about this, because I've been seeing in so many different groups, and also in my group, the Amazon FBA Alphas group, so many people are talking about shipping consistently. And I think it's really, really, really important. But I want to make sure that we are structured, because I have a lot of questions to get through. So let's start off with first of all, you already said a little bit, but I'd like for us to go in depth into it. And the reason I want you to go in depth into it from a shipping company or freight forwarder's point of view is so that people can understand what stands behind when they get a quote and suddenly the price changes a week later, which doesn't usually happen. So let's start off with what is currently the shipping and logistics world looking like, and from the inside, right? From your point of view, what is it currently looking like, container-wise, China-wise, American port-wise, etc.?
All right, so that's an interesting question. From within the industry, in our internal groups or internal forums, whether on LinkedIn, Facebook, or just face-to-face meetings, it looks like pretty much chaotic. Everybody is talking about it within the freight industry, about how things are, the way we've never seen them before, and nobody really knows if and when things will get back to normal. Now, I don't think they'll ever. I don't think they will. It will stay the same for many years to go. But the market sentiment is that things are the current situation with prices and delays and almost no capacity in the market, space to move containers on ships and equipment, which is empty containers. It's here definitely like 100% for the whole year, 2021, and might want to go through Q1 next year, and again, it might go through the second quarter as well. So at least for the next year, it's here to stay. Now, what is here to stay? Yeah. Capacity, always there are always, it's funny, it became really funny. Every single week there is a disaster in the shipping world that just affects the whole world. Now we are dealing with Shenzhen, by end of May this year, like 2 weeks ago, a bit more, a COVID outbreak started in South China, hitting port workers, dock workers, and China is very strict with their COVID stuff, which means every single dock worker or port worker now gotta go through a test in the morning. They have a weird way of doing tests in China. Every single truck driver now have to get tested before it brings the container with the truck, the actual truck driver who was just to come into the port. There are about 30 vessels docked outside of Shenzhen port waiting to get in to load containers. There are more and more and more containers piling up. About 5 days ago, shipping lines sent out warning notices to clients that the waiting time in Shenzhen is 16 days. From 5 days, it went up to 16 days. Waiting time means from the time your container brought into the port until it will actually set off to sea or be on a vessel and the vessel will depart. 16 days. Now add to that the capacity constraints of getting that booking in the first place, which is another week or 2 sometimes. So you have 1 to 2 weeks to get a booking, and then 2 weeks to get from the container got into the port until it's actually on board a vessel and the vessel departs. That's a month in China, South China. Now, South China is not only Shenzhen, it started affecting other ports as well, in Guangzhou as well. So South China is currently suffering a severe backlog. And this is now starting to affect Taiwan and Korea, because all of these vessels are now it's either diverted to other ports because they can't wait. So don't forget that when a vessel comes, now the vessel needs to wait until they can enter the port, not only to depart from the port, but they now have a way to wait in the sea just to get into the port. So a lot of vessels are now skipping that port. Now Shenzhen is the 4th biggest port in the world, the port of Shenzhen, South China. And when something like that happens, it's just a major effect of everything. Now imagine that you have tens and tens of thousands of containers piling up on the port floor. Now all of these containers will go out and they're just piling up. They'll stop piling up. Eventually they'll all go out, and then they'll create a massive backlog in the States, because all of these containers will arrive all of a sudden, and
all at once.
It will, all at once, and then it will affect the destination ports. Now destination ports in the States are still suffering. They are still in a bad shape. LA is still a mess. It didn't get better since the last time we spoke a month ago. It's still a mess. Railroads, intermodal, when a container needs to move from LA port to Dallas to Chicago to an inland port, the railway is still a very big problem there, because there are no empty rail cars, and again, capacity problems all over. So every single week or every 2 weeks there is, I don't know why, just the shipping industry is jinxed. Every other week something happens, and something major happens. So
what happened? What's happened recently?
Well, we had the Suez Canal. After the Suez Canal, we had a small incident where a vessel crashed into the dock in Taiwan. All right, one of the biggest ports in Taiwan. Now we have Shenzhen port. Now Shenzhen port, and it's not only Shenzhen, it's South China. South China is Shenzhen, Guangzhou, all of the terminals there. And imports are still picking up. Like, there are still more imports. Demand is still increasing, and capacity is getting lower and lower and lower. Now, all of these events, don't forget, they affect the empty container cycles, right? If the containers are not going out, again, we've discussed that they stuck. They are still, they are full with products, but they are not moving. So eventually they are delayed from getting back to China to load new products on them. So it's a big butterfly effect.
Last time you and I spoke, you told me that it's a cycling season in America, and there was a news article that in America there's heaps and heaps of bicycle stores without bikes because they aren't getting their containers in time, and these are huge companies. So when we use, I know the answer to this, but I want people to understand this. When you say that there is, for example, no containers or delays, what does it mean by there's no containers? It's not that there isn't enough containers, it's that they're stuck in certain areas, etc. Can you explain that so people can understand?
Moving products by sea, it's always in containers, ocean containers. All right, we all know them, we all see them on the road, and you need an empty container in order to load products. Now, if the containers are on vessels and the vessels getting delayed, whether in China to get, to depart, or whether it's in destination ports or any place other, in Europe or in Suez Canal, These containers are not getting unloaded from these vessels and not getting unloaded. The products are not getting unloaded. So these empty containers couldn't get back to China. So basically, you have what we call a pool of containers. Every port has a pool of containers, and these pools are practically empty. So there are just not enough empty containers to feed the demand, because we have demand, right? People are exporting out of China in containers. But what happens when the containers are not getting back to China, and China producing containers, they are not producing new containers fast enough to keep up with the demand. The demand is going up. Again, 50% higher than last year, 6 months. 50%, that's huge. Port of Los Angeles reported May to be the highest month of all time regarding as far as number of containers coming in. April it was the highest number as well, and then every month
higher and higher.
It's a new high every single month. It's a new high in Los Angeles. So demand is growing, but the cycle of containers it's not growing, it's shrinking. That's when we mean there is no equipment in the market. That's what we call equipment, empty containers, the equipment to move products. When people talk, when freight forwarders talk about capacity, they talk about space on vessels, right? There is no capacity to move products. What does it mean? For example, Shenzhen clogged, COVID outbreak. Vessels are just skipping that port. They are not calling that port. So for example, let's say from Shenzhen, you have 10 vessels every week. Now you have 5 vessels every week, because a lot of vessels a lot of shipping lines decide not to wait until the port will open. They'll lose billions of dollars. They go on to the next port. So all of a sudden, instead of 10 vessels every week, now you have 5 vessels every week. And remember, the number of containers for exports are growing. So there is more demand, but less capacity, less space to put these containers. So that's where people get rolled over. That's why prices keep on getting higher and higher and higher and higher, because people are paying that.
So I wanted us to speak about pricing, because when you and I spoke, you were explaining to me, I said to you, but why? How can it be that a container is now, $16,000 to $18,000? And you said to me,
they talk about 20, 25, 23K. That's insane.
And you said to me, because they can get away with it. So can you explain to everyone a little bit about what's going on right now we'll start with container pricing, and then we'll move on to air shipping pricing, so that people can understand what stands behind, this insane price increase.
Mm-hmm. I'm reading the comments by C.
Oh wait, I'll bring up the comments through it. Saibi, Simon is saying that you looked stressed last time. We'll bring it up now. Refael looked stressed last time he was on here. Poor fellow looks like he's not had any sleep since then. So container pricing, we'll start with containers.
Well, it's very simple. Again, it's supply and demand. The demand is keep on going up and up and up. There is more and more and more demand and less supply. There are no space, which means prices are going up. That's what I mean by they can get away. There are buyers in these prices, and there will be buyers in higher prices. Now I have clients coming in and saying, "Hey, I don't care if it's $10,000 here or if it's $1,000 here or $2,000 there. I don't care. I need to move these products. These are high ticket products. I sell them for $100 per unit. $5 here, $5 there for a product cost, for a shipping cost per unit doesn't make any difference. But that's where
$400 products, but for people that are making $10 profit, $5 or $5 profit,
that's a killer. You can't move your products. You just can't move the product. And we've seen that also, that people are just saying it doesn't make sense anymore to ship. It doesn't make sense. The product doesn't have, it's not. I don't have a business anymore with cheaper selling products. So let's go back to the container prices. So more demand, less supply. Prices are going up, and And that's how analysts and shipping experts and everybody in this industry know that prices are just going to go up, because demand is not going to go anywhere. Demand is keep on increasing, especially as we go into Q4, right? And the vessels will not born out of nowhere all of a sudden, 10, 20, 50 new vessels. It takes years and years to build a vessel. And so the capacity situation is going to stay the same, and demand is going to grow and grow and grow and grow. That's how everybody says so confidently that the situation is going to last for the next year. So that's the situation. I wish I had better news. For us, shipping companies it's crazy. Think about it. Container prices, we used the container prices $1,000 a container, $1,500 a container. Now all of a sudden you have $12,000 a container. Think about a company who needs to move 1,000 containers a month, 2,000 containers a month. You now need to pay $10 million every month to the shipping companies instead of $1 million. Now clients are not paying cash. Clients paying usually bigger accounts. They pay after delivery. They have net 30, net 60, net 70. And I'm talking huge amounts of money that you have to come up with now, because nobody want to absorb this type of credit. Every shipping line in China and booking agents, they now want to get paid 10 days after departure, 15 days after departure. If you don't pay them, they'll hold the containers. They'll hold your 1,000 containers. They'll hold them. They'll hold the bill of lading. There is a way in the shipping industry. If the co-loader or the shipping line wants to hold the container, they will hold it. You won't be able to move it. You'll get stuck. That's why we see a lot of shipping companies. That's about the post we saw on your group yesterday about companies getting closed and bankrupt, and talk about cash flow all of a sudden, that they don't have I heard about a company that told the client, I don't have the cash flow. Sorry, I can't pay the carrier. And we're gonna see a lot of smaller companies getting into a cash problem, because now you need 10 times more cash in order to operate your business. And again, remember that clients are not paying cash. I'm not talking about first-time shippers, new Amazon sellers that freight forwarders ask cash in advance. If I go to a big account that we have, or bigger accounts, or like you guys, and I tell, hey, Sharon, you need to pay cash in advance before I ship, you won't work with us. People want payment terms, people want relationships, and that's part of the things you provide as a company. So that's gonna put a lot of businesses in danger as well.
I didn't even look at it that way, to be honest. I didn't even think about it that way. So that's container pricing. What's happening with air shipping pricing?
Air shipping, actually, it's, again, there is no reasoning behind it, because your next questions will be why, but air prices are going down. Air prices in the previous week, we're looking at $5-6 a kilo. Again, it's not good compared to the previous years, but compared to the last couple of months, we were at $11, $10, $12 a kilo.
Standard air?
Yeah, standard air. Again, I'm talking pure air freight. I'm not talking pickups, the deliveries, DDP, all the accessorials. I'm talking pure air freight, airport to airport, Shanghai, New York, Shanghai, LA. So prices are going. That's our measure to check the market, market prices, the pure air freight cost. That's how you do it with the ocean, by the way. You measure port pairs, what we call Shenzhen, LA, Shanghai, New York. That's how you measure prices, by port pairs. So yeah, air freight prices are actually going down. China, US, that's the benchmark we use.
So I have a question, and we spoke about this, and this is actually something that happened with a client of mine as well, where so anyone who didn't hear in the beginning, you are the CEO of Unicargo, and I've been working with you guys for a long time now, and over 4 years, I would say. And I don't think I've really heard of something like this happening, and it's been happening more and more. So a client of mine got a quote from your team, and a week later, 7 days later, the quote had suddenly gone up by a couple of $1,000s.
Mm-hmm.
So can you explain so that people understand the logic behind that, you know, of how that can be happening at the moment?
That's a good question. It always happened, always happened. It's just that the changes were so slim.
They weren't this dramatic.
Sometimes we didn't even talk to the client because the difference is $20, $30, $40. You don't even bother going to the client and, you know, build a new quote for $30, $50. Yeah. So what happens is every 2 weeks in the sea freight industry, every 2 weeks the carriers, the shipping lines will announce their rates for their next 2 weeks. That's what we call spot market. If you don't have a contract rate, you are a shipper. Let's say Sharon, you have a company and you ship 300 containers a month. We do what we call a name account. We go to shipping line and we close a contract just for your business. That's called the contract rate. So you'll have a fixed rate for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, depends on your business, your volumes, what trade lanes you work with. So we list your suppliers, your exporters, we list the import of record, your company name. And whenever the shipping line sees your booking, Sharon's company from her supplier, Jane, you get a contract rate. You get your rate locked for 3-6 months. Now, with smaller shippers, they work on what we call spot market. Spot market is ad hoc. You go to the shipping line and you get the rates. And every 2 weeks, and that's basically in the first of the month and the 15th of the month. So from the first of the month, shipping line will announce their rates for the next 2 weeks, up to the 15th. And on the 15th, shipping lines will announce their rates for up to the first of next month. 2 weeks and 2 weeks. And the rates are determined by your gate in date, which means if you had a rate today, if you ask for a quote today for a container or an LCL, it doesn't matter because an LCL, it's a container eventually. And today we are on the 17th. And let's say Sharon is asking for a quote today. We will send you a quote. And the quote valid date will be gate in by the 31st of June. All right. And let's say you agree to the quote and we book your shipment and we contact your supplier. The supplier say, hey, quality control, the inspection failed. I need to do this and that. I need to fix the product. The new cargo ready date would be 25th or something. Now is not a good example. Let's say your cargo will be ready on the 22nd, and all of a sudden something happens and we can only pick it on the 29th, and it cannot go into the port, gate in to the port by the 31st. The quote is not valid anymore because it'll now be, the shipping line will release new rates. Understand? Then your quote.
What if somebody got the quote on the 22nd? And then approved, said to you, okay, pick it up, okay? But you guys weren't able to book it in or whatever, and then a week later, the price has gone up. What happens in that scenario?
Depends on the reason we weren't able to book it. Let's say there is no space. There is just no space. Shipping line is not releasing space. It doesn't matter that the client approved the quote, agreed to the quote. It doesn't matter that the supply was ready. It doesn't matter that the freight was, just at the ready to pick up, already just waiting for us. If there is no space, we cannot get the freight into the port, and price will change. And that's why a lot of sellers are frustrated, and I understand that. And that's why a lot of freight forwarders are frustrated because they don't really have the tools to deal with it like we used to. Because it was never a problem to get a booking. It was from now to now. You need the container, no problem. I have a container in your factory in 2 hours from now. It was always like that. And in the past year, all of a sudden it became a problem to get space. So you get your rate, you agree to it, and all of a sudden, not because of you and not even because of your freight forwarder, there is no space. The vessels skip the port. I don't know. There is no empty container in that specific port now. You have to wait a week, and your prices change in $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 or even. And yeah, that's frustrating. And what you will do as a seller, you look at the freight forwarder and say, "What the fuck is this freight forwarder?" Hey, we have a guest.
Keep explaining it. This is the first time it's happened. Keep talking, Refael.
Yeah, all good. So yeah, and everybody will basically blame the freight forwarder for the situation, and I understand that, but that's a tricky situation. That's a really. That's why I tell you, when you see a freight guy, hug him.
I asked this question because it happened twice in the last 2 weeks, I think, with clients of mine that I sent to you guys. And I know the answer because I speak to you frequently. And even if you're a big seller or a smaller seller, it doesn't matter. We don't necessarily understand what you're going through and the logic behind these things.
Yeah, the whole operational process, yeah.
And it's when this specifically, happened, I said to myself, we need to talk about this so that people can understand, right? Because to someone like me, it doesn't sound logical. If I've approved for you to pick it up, we made a deal on this pricing, and a week later you come and say to me, well, wait a minute, it's $3,000 more. You're gonna
get pissed. You're gonna get
I'll
pissed.
get really angry. I'll be like,
and you're gonna say, hey, I need a new freight forwarder.
Exactly. And I won't say that, but that's what then many people will say. Well, then I need a new freight forwarder. And then they'll go to the next freight forwarder, and the freight forwarder will give them the same quote, more or less, of the higher pricing. Yeah. Just without the explanation.
They might get lucky, that freight forwarder, because the space were available and the quote, they didn't need to change the quote, and it might, the quote might change again. You can't really tell. That's the problem. The situation is very volatile. It's changing all the time, and
so this leads me into a very important question. I used to tell people, when you're looking into a new product, one of the things that you have to take into consideration is the shipping cost, right? Tariffs, but also the shipping cost. And before COVID, it wasn't a big deal. It was quite easy to get. Today, if someone's looking to develop a brand new product they have not developed yet, and it's only going to be ready in 3 months from now, for them to get a quote from any shipping company, whether it's you, through their supplier, anyone.
It's irrelevant.
It's irrelevant. They can't, because you had no idea container prices would be this expensive 3 months ago, right? And it keeps going up and up. So in these situations, what do we do?
That's a good question. That's a good question. You have nothing to do basically than look at the current prices, because nobody knows what will be in a month. We can assess what's going to be in 2 weeks, right? We have indications of prices are going to go up or down, but nobody can know what's going to happen in a month, 2 months, and 3 months. So what I would do, I would take the current prices and I would buff it up with 20, 30, 40% up.
Wow.
Yeah. Because you can't know. You just can't know. That's the worst case situation, yeah. But in business, you want to be prepared for the worst case situation. You can't rely on best case situation. You just can't.
So what I've been saying to people in, my people that I coach and my circle is, I used to say, whatever your cost price is, you want to be able to sell it in order for you to have a good profit of at least around 7x. And I've been saying to people at least around 10x now. And for many, many people, one of my clients from Australia that sells the product that's made out of wood. It's a big wooden product. We've started looking for a supplier in America. Right? We're looking to change the material from this type of wood into a different type of wood, because it just does not make sense, to ship this type of product that's big wooden product from China to America. So I think that also I've seen and heard a lot of people are starting to look either locally as well, where it makes sense. Not everyone can.
Most of the time it wouldn't make sense. It won't make sense.
I mean, yeah, if you're selling toys or things like that, it doesn't. But there are many products where it can make sense today because of how long it's taking to get stuff out of China and into America. It's taking longer than usual. And because price increase is so dramatic that it may take the same amount of time to get a product made now in America, right? Because America, usually the manufacturer's a lot slower, but anyway, it's taking longer anyway so that have been some of the things that I've been saying, that it's a huge problem for, especially for the people that don't have a lot of wiggle room for profits.
Wiggle room or capital. You know, when I speak to my clients, and that's usually bigger accounts, and everybody agree on that. The new thing is now to go for, you know, high value products.
Yeah. Where you have a lot of
products. That's where you have a lot of room. That's where competition is still lower. You know, Chinese sellers are not really going into, you know, products that are expensive. And that's kind of become the new trend with the more medium-sized, bigger sellers, to just go for the bigger products, because you have a lot of wiggle room. You have a lot of room for error as far as your landed costs, and there's less competition. So we're gonna see a lot of I already seen a lot of sellers going into higher selling products. And I personally think that's the right way to go. But again, you can't start your Amazon journey with, you know, a product that costs $200 to manufacture. So yeah, that's and also people just need to produce products for 6 months now and keep it in a 3PL and not send 200 units. Because again, in shipping, it's always been the rule, and it's true now as well. The bigger your shipment is, the cheaper you'll pay per unit, right? The cheaper the cost per unit would be. So if it makes sense, you just need to have bigger production lines, bigger batches, and send them, like, instead of planning for 3 months, plan for 6 months, 7 months, 9 months.
Which means you have a lot of money put into.
Again, you need capital, and it doesn't fit the new sellers who are just starting out. Basically, this whole situation is just saying it became much harder to start your Amazon journey. There are less and less products you can deal with now, because a lot of products are irrelevant because of shipping costs. And I also am starting to see a lot of players getting kicked out of the market because their products are not fit to the market anymore. You know, and I see a lot. And again, it's good news for some sellers, for the bigger ones. You know, a lot of competition is going down. And you know, I'm not even talking about Amazon restrictions. You know, every week there is something new with the storage limits and stuff like that. And you need to be a fucking logistics manager. Like, you need to be a supply chain manager. I've been visiting my clients this week, and I've seen their seller accounts, and I've seen what Amazon is making them go through, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy.
It's just now many didn't really think or need to use 3PLs, and today it's
you cannot run a business
you can't run an Amazon business properly now without a 3PL. It's an absolute must.
It's you know, timing your shipments, measuring the times we creating an order, the SLA of your 3PL, how long it takes to produce the order, to build the pallets. Are you going to use an LTL by Amazon? How long they're going to take? Are you going to use an SPD, UPS ground? How long is it going to take? How long is it going to take to process your inbounds within Amazon? And it's just insane. It became much more professional, to be honest. It's like running a physical store. Like, think about it. Up until a couple of months ago, you could take a container, not a month ago, up until a year ago, you could take a container filled with product, ship it to Amazon, and it's like you have your own store with unlimited products. It's not like that in the real life. You know, in real life, you have a store, you have limited space for products, and it's very interesting, actually, because now Amazon doesn't let you just chuck in whatever you want there. You know, they give you, I don't know, a week's worth of products, something like that.
No, but a little bit more. But it's not that. It's that if you now want to scale and add more products, it's a huge problem. You have to think about, well, what products are more important for me? The ones that are best selling now, or the new products that I know that are also going to do well. Because now the inventory, it's on a account level for all the products, and that is. It's very, very difficult to scale in that way and to be adding.
They'll probably change it soon again because they're always changing.
The problem is that when they change something, they don't give you time to prepare anymore. It's like, hey, as of tomorrow, this is the situation. You're like, but I've got so much stock in the way, and it's crazy. I want us to talk about insurance, but we also have a lot of comments here. So
yeah, you want to
I'm going to go through some of the comments. We'll try and go through them. Most of them are by Saibi. Saibi's real name is Simon. Now that I know it, I'm going to call him by his name. So Simon said ages ago, when you say Simon says, it sounds funny. Anyway, but Simon said, I have 20 TEU in factories and warehouses and at ports right now, and another 20 ready next month. One day I get space, the next day it's gone. This is not going to write itself for at least a year. So we spoke about that, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Refael, we spoke about the fact that you look really, really stressed. You actually look a lot better. Last time you did, you looked like you were...
Ivy, why do you say that? I look better.
Yeah, you look a lot better. You look like you've actually been sleeping a little bit. You look like you came back from holiday.
Yeah.
A lot of the full containers that arrive on the west coast of the US are put on trains and sent inland, and it takes weeks for them to empty and return. We spoke about that. How do you pronounce that shipping company's name? Maersk share price has increased 31% in the last 12 months. Is there a ray of hope in all of this? No.
No, don't be like that. There is a ray of hope. The ray of hope is that a lot of competition will be eliminated, and it's now more of a professional game, I would say. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm in a position to say, but I think it's easier now if you have the right capital and the right knowledge. That's how I look at that.
I presented in the Global Sources Summit a couple of months ago a presentation about pricing and how to price your products in order to be able to sell to a buyer avatar that's willing to sell more money. And we're not going to say the product, but once I talk about it, you may remember what it is. I have a client in Thailand that brings in a certain type of knife from China, and he bundles it with something in Thailand and sends it to America. Remember the product? So the product is sourced for around $8, right? Before shipping or with shipping. I can't remember right now. No, with shipping. Today, the product is sold for $99, where I expected it to be sold for $79, right? He's making between $40 to $50 profit, something like that per unit. And originally, when we decided to go into that product, the client, I say we because I guide them through it, we always knew that he was only going to sell around 4 to 5 units a day. But that's all he needed to sell, right? Because he's making so much profit per unit. And the only reason that we went for that buyer avatar, we wanted to market the product in that way, is because he doesn't have capital to sell 500-600 units a month, right? But in this way, I was able to scale. So it's not only that, it's also, in my opinion and in my experience today, trying to also maximize what you do have, maximize the amount that you're able to sell the product for. So to try and brand it in a way where, you can get a much higher pricing on it. It's not right for every product. There in some products, it's just so saturated. So many Chinese sellers that people don't care about branding, right? Some products, but there is some things for people to also, to think about. So when David asks, is there a ray of hope in all of this? I think the game has just changed and it's going to keep evolving and changing, right? And you know this from the amount of shipments that you're sending out. The demand has grown so much. And I do believe it's just going to be different type of sellers now, right? Would you agree with that?
It's gonna be bigger sellers, medium-sized, bigger sellers, yeah.
Okay, Paulina said, whoa, and I can't remember what she said that about, but I think it was when you said that pricing is just going to get worse for the rest of the year because of Q4. Because the thing is, you've got Q4, and then after Q4, you've got Chinese New Year, right? And then everyone's sending out, a whole bunch as well there. On point, companies live on the edge of cash flow, pay your supplier $40K, and then there's 15 to 20K to pay the forwarder. Ouch, cash flow forecasting has never been more critical for sellers. And what was interesting was that I never looked at it as the freight forwarder's point of view either, where you were saying, that you guys also need to come up with that.
10 times more money.
Yeah. I'm going to go through this stuff really quickly and see if there's a specific question. Is this problem relatively the same getting shipments out of Vietnam? How is the rest of the Asia area looking?
It's not good. Vietnam and Korea. Vietnam is a bit better, but Korea, we couldn't find booking for our clients for 3 weeks. Nothing. Wow. Nothing at all. No prices, no booking, nothing.
What about
Korea?
Thailand?
South Korea was very bad. Vietnam, I know we had problems, but out of Vietnam, we had a very good contract with shipping lines. So we have blocked space, what we call it. We have guaranteed space out of Vietnam. It just happened to be so because we have a good connection there. But for us, Vietnam is easy. But again, generally speaking, it's bad. Not as bad as China, but it's bad. Vietnam, South Korea, Thailand, all of Southeast Asia are suffering from that capacity problem. But think about it, these vessels that leaves China, a lot of time they go through these countries to pick up more containers, right? So it's the same situation everywhere.
Nira said, not just the USA, also Mexico is a good place to look for production, because earlier I was saying that I have clients where we have started to reach out to sourcing agents in America, specifically Norman Farrar's sourcing company, which I've just forgotten the name of it. It'll come to me soon. And anyway, they're helping us to find some of my clients, suppliers in America. But yeah, Mexico, areas in that area, for some people, it will make sense. I know that when it comes to toys and things like that, there is no competition to America, but there are certain types of materials that you can source today at the same price as how much it's going to cost you after you take into consideration shipping from China. This pandemic is just a rehearsal for what is coming. Sea freight is the most unfriendly mode of transit, and it's going to be under pressure to change, which will be very expensive. Saibi said that you're still very handsome. Yes. Paulina said, just lack of timing, it's not going to make it on Amazon anymore. Time to step up, people. Simon said Honu. That's it. Honu is the sourcing agency that they have. There should be required viewing for brand new sellers about to launch. All right. That's more or less the stuff I saw there. Can you tell us a little bit about why? Well, I mean, it's my opinion. You tell me if I'm wrong. Insurance has always been important, but why is insurance even more important today? It's like so cheap, yet people don't buy insurance for their cargo.
I wouldn't say it's more important today than any other period of time in the history. It's always been very, very important. A lot of sellers are, overlooking it for some reason. Again, insurance costs, they should range between 0.2 to 0.5% of your cargo value. Again, not 2%, 0.2. That's less than 0.5%. It's usually, if your products are $10,000, $20,000, you're looking at a minimum of $35 to $55 per shipment. Again, compared to your $10,000 shipment, $20,000 shipment, $55 for your insurance, it's nothing. And it's highly recommended that everybody will insure their shipments. And the reason that it's so important is that shit happens.
Again, 99% of the times nothing will happen, but shit happens. Unfortunately, insurance doesn't cover you from delays or from not getting your products on a boat, on a vessel fast enough, but they will cover you in case of losses, in case of partial deliveries, in case of stealing, in case of crashes, in case of containers falling out to sea. All of a sudden, by the way, last year was a record year in container that was lost at sea. Over 4,000 containers in total. Now, 4,000 containers, you're talking about millions of boxes. Millions of
What happens to the containers? I read your article. You sent out an article a couple of days ago, from Unicargo to your clients. And I read the article. What happens to the containers when they're like at the bottom of the sea? That's it.
Nobody knows they're at the bottom of the sea.
Wow.
It's like middle of the ocean. Nobody really go there. I don't even know how deep it is, but it's very, very deep. Nobody's picking them up. Trust me.
That's insane.
1,000 meters above water, below water. Yeah, it's crazy. It's just rest on the seafloor.
I speak about insurance, and I'm going to add in there building a relationship with a shipping company as well, because you said something that I've been saying from day one, right? Which is that shit happens, and you don't judge things by when things go smoothly. You judge things by when shit hits the fan, and I think that it's really, really important. And I think also people need to be, just because I am so involved in the logistics world because of also, my friendship with you, and you share so much information with me more than the average person. I think that people also need to ask more questions when they're communicating with shipping companies today or with freight forwarders, so that they understand why. It's my son had a birthday a couple of weeks ago, and my sister ordered a product from a local shop here in Israel. And it's been like 3 weeks and it still hasn't come through. And she was getting really angry. And they said that it's just the stock hasn't arrived yet. And this is a huge toy store in Israel. And I said, the stock hasn't arrived yet. And then here I was, like, I don't know, a couple of days after a conversation with you, and you explained everything in depth to me. So I went and was explaining to my sister, who has nothing to do with logistics, that we need to be a little bit more patient. So not that it's, when you're the seller, you don't care, but there's nothing that we can do. We have to.
It's worldwide. People look at it as a worldwide crisis right now. It's all over. It's not only China, US. It's in Europe. It's everywhere.
What about cost of trans-Siberian land freight by train to Europe?
The same thing. Costs are going up. Trains are moving containers. They are moving ocean containers on the train.
Mm.
And it's the same situation. They are going up.
Okay. So is there anything else that you can think of that we should be, I think we've covered everything that I wrote in the notes for us to go over. Is there anything else that is important for you to say to people?
Be patient with your service providers that are going through, really, logistics companies are going through hell. Again, not because they don't have business. They have good business now because there are a lot of freight, just because there are just so many frustrated clients, angry clients, because they don't understand operationally what's going on, underneath the surface. What's going on the backstage,
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, and I get it. It's frustrating, and your only hope is your freight forwarder. And when it's not even fucks up. When he's the bearer of bad news, you have nobody to blame by him. But freight forwarding companies are really, really struggling with their clients providing service. Not about customer service, but providing the service. Because we'll give you customer service, we'll answer you, we'll be on the phone.
A quote that you guys used to answer, I'm not talking about me because you guys answer me straight away, but new clients that are coming in, right? You guys, not just you, all shipping companies, okay? You have your current clients that you need to take care of that are usually happy and are now angry, right? Not everyone, but many, because of different things. Like you said, it's not your fault because you're kind of like the middleman, but it is what it is.
You have to put more time in maintenance. You have to put more efforts in explaining, in maintenance, in phone calls, in emails, in trying to shake things up in China for a client, you know.
And then you have a new client, which may even be a big client, but their shipment isn't ready now. It's going to be ready in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or whatever, and they're asking for a quote. And 2 weeks passes and they haven't got an answer yet, right? So how does that?
To be honest, I see it all the time. I feel sorry for it, but you know, when situations in a company, for example, gets tougher, let's say you need to put more efforts into your current shipment. So let's say in order to move a shipment, in order to move a container, it took you, I don't know, for example, 10 minutes or 20 minutes in the past. Now it takes you 50 minutes. So you need more manpower, you need more attention, and you gotta bring that attention to the regular clients, to your ongoing clients. And unfortunately, the new clients, the new accounts, the potential accounts that they pay, you know, they get hurt. And it's not intentional, it's just the way business works. I prefer as a CEO putting the attention on my regular clients, on my ongoing clients, because you know they've been here before, the new clients, and I know that the company could grow more and we can have more accounts, but I prefer not to get these accounts. And I'm now gonna take more people out of sales and bring them into customer service. And we just had a internal meeting today, and we're gonna start telling by next week. We are probably gonna start saying to new clients that we will have lead qualification, and we will understand that's the first shipment, that we cannot take new clients right now. It's a step that we have to take in order to keep on giving you good service to clients. You know, you measure it as a business. You know, your gain and loss. You know, my gain will be higher if I'll put more attention and give more service to my ongoing accounts rather than servicing a new client who's just starting out. No disrespect to the clients, you know, even the biggest ones just started out sometime. But right now, I prefer not to take new accounts, new smaller accounts, and take that attention, manpower, and experience and put it on the ongoing account. And it's unfortunate. Yeah, I have a very bad feeling about the decision. I've never made that decision in my life. I've never said no to a client. But, you know, that's what you got to do now. And yeah, we get not a lot, but we get complaints about, you know, response time for new clients, response time for quotes for new accounts that we don't know. And it is what it is. Yeah, I need to buy ship, Milo. You know, two days ago, there was a news article. Home Depot bought a ship.
Ships, I saw that. Ken shared it.
First time in history that a retailer buys a ship, because they can't rely on logistics anymore. They have to they need to own their own fucking ship. It's crazy. It's crazy. It was all over the news. You know, it's a big headline. A retailer bought a ship because shipping companies can't ship his goods. Now, Home Depot move thousands of containers a month. And if they don't have products to sell, they are out of business. You know,
so buy a ship. That makes sense.
Right? I'm not in the financial position to buy a ship yet. But
Simon says ships are shit without containers.
There are enough containers. Get a ship, Simon. I'll get you the containers.
David said this is pretty sad for newer sellers with not much capital.
Yeah.
I think that what I said earlier, though, as well, is something to take into consideration. And this is more like my side of things now, where, you know, I think that there's always the ability of looking for those products where you can try and market it for a different type of buyer avatar that's willing to spend more money. But anyone listening should go find my presentation on Global Sources, the Global Sources YouTube channel. Just look for my face. I'm in the first 45 minutes there. I presented my pricing strategy. So Nirvana said, "Hey Sharon and Refael, some months ago, Refael was presenting a new service for samples. Just wondering if the service is getting samples working now." No, right? I'm guessing you put it on hold. Too much shit going on.
It was an idea that ran through my head because I looked at my contracts with DHL, FedEx, and UPS, and I looked at some posts of people's posting about how expensive their prices with suppliers to ship products, and I saw that my price is like $10 to ship 1 kilo out of China. We don't provide sample services right now. Everybody knows it. We just don't do it. And then I thought to produce a digital platform where it's a no-touch, operation where people can just book, pay, and get their airway bills. But yeah, just we don't have time to deal with anything right now than moving our clients' products, unfortunately.
Simon said, "Let's go, Refael. We'll start small. I have an inflatable boat."
Paulina asked, when are you going to have Saibi as a guest to this podcast?
I would love to have Simon on. Simon was on Norman Ferrara's podcast, and I'd love to have him on. So, Saibi, I need to find you on Facebook and reach out to you.
Or Simon? Why do you call him Simon?
Because his name is Saibi on here, but his actual name is Simon, and I've got to find him and reach out to him and bring him on. I'd love to have him on the show. He's probably one of the people that's here every single session, no matter who's on.
Yeah, Nir is also a dedicated listener.
Yeah.
We love Nir.
Who'd you say?
Nir Rave.
Nir. We do love Nir. He's awesome. Okay. Let's wrap it up. We've got an hour. You've got children to get to, and so do I. Refael, how can people, well, you don't probably want people, no, I'm kidding, to reach out to you, but no, I'm kidding. I know that you will always, I have the group, the Amazon FBA Alphas group, and whenever there's a shipping question, even if I know the answer, I will tag you. I will tag you because it's different when it comes out of your mouth compared to mine. And you always answer, and you're a freaking CEO of this huge company, and you always freaking answer. So
I love answering.
You're just amazing. How can anyone reach out to you if they have an important question that only you can answer?
Facebook would be the ideal. It's even faster than email now. I usually, in the past, I didn't want people go through Facebook. I would say just email me, but right now, I would say Facebook. Yeah, just look me up. I'm very active in Sharon's group. Feel free to reach out to me if you need anything regarding shipping. I can connect you with my teams and help you out. And yeah.
And the website, unicargo.com.
Yeah, unicargo.com.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you. We all appreciate you and how much you give to the community. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, they can find my YouTube channel, Sharon Evan, or me on Facebook, or join my Facebook community, Amazon FBA Alphas. Isabella will be back on Monday, and Danny will be back on Tuesday, and I will see you all next Thursday. Next Thursday, I have on Adam Heist. Just so everyone listening knows, Adam Heist will be here next week talking about his recent exit. So I'm looking forward to that as well. Refael, we'll probably see you next month when shipping gets even worse. So thank you so much. And I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.